Visualization. It's almost like I can't talk about it enough because it's that important. And I want you to keep your mind open. Or if you remember in my book, keep your teacup with some room in it. You know, when your teacup gets too full, meaning you've already decided you know everything there is to know about something, and somebody tries to pour something new into it, it just splashes all over the place. So keep some room in your cup, because you may think, Mark, I've heard everything you ever want to say about visualization. I got it. You don't need to talk to me about this anymore. Well, guess what? There's always something more to learn. And there's examples in all sorts of aspects of photography. So we're going to just dive into this a little bit this morning. And one of the things about visualization is that it gives you a blueprint. So this quote I love: visualize this thing that you want, see it, feel it, believe in it. Believe in it. We could put underlining on that. Make your mental blueprint and begin to build. This is so applicable to your photography, you guys. You want to make sure you do believe in what you're photographing or the story that you're telling, because that's going to come across to your viewer. It's that genuineness. Like, why do you want me to look at this photograph? Why are you showing me this? There's something you believe in, and that's what your visualization carries across to the viewer. So this quote, you could make a checklist of this in your notebook anytime you're embarking on a project, because remember, visualization doesn't just apply to the individual photograph. It applies to writing a book. You start with a vision. What's this all about? What am I going to tell my readers? If you have a display or an exhibit, you want to leave people, like, what's the last thing they're going to be left with? That's your visualization. Like, what do I want them to walk away with as a result of seeing this body of work or a zine? Whatever it is you're creating, you want to put that there. And I'd like you guys to really spend some time working this out. Put this in your notebook. Just take each line here. Visualize this thing that you want. See it, like you really get that mental image. See it. Feel it. Like, what is this going to feel like when I produce this? How is that going to feel to me and the viewer? Believe in it. Like, if you don't believe in it, why are you doing it? Get another project. Do something else. Find that thing that you do believe in. Make your mental blueprint and begin to build. So one tool that you guys can use, and I really recommend that you do this, is making a shot list. This is right here in the book. Make a shot list. So you're about to go somewhere. Let's say you're visiting an old town that you had lived in before, and you moved away from it, and you wanted to go back and come away with some of the photographs of places that you used to live, work, or go to school, whatever it was. Make a list of those and go get them. Now, you're going to find other shots that you did not anticipate. That's fine. That's called serendipity. And if you happen to come across something you never even expected, that's great, but you're prepared for it. Chance favors the prepared mind. That's what Louis Pasteur said to us. And it's very, very true. The more prepared you are, the better you are able to accept chance, things that you didn't know were going to happen. This is an example of when I went to Paris, I wanted to come away with something. It wasn't just a postcard view of the Eiffel Tower. And, I found this angled up shot with the clouds, and I made it into a black and white. And I think it's different than what you would see hanging from a postcard rack. And it was my take on the Eiffel Tower. So very important. When you travel and you go to places that have iconic views, and it's very difficult maybe to come away with something unique. But you can, if you look at it and you use your visualization muscles, as it were, like, how can I make this look different? What can I do to change that up? Okay, now this I mentioned last week, and it bears repeating. How about being spontaneous and capturing the moment? That's still part of visualization, because you're still putting your vision there. Where do you want to go photograph? Now, do you know ahead of time everything that's going to happen when you're out street shooting? No, of course not. But the fact that you are already pre-planning is a form of visualization. That person who walked in the frame unexpectedly, you didn't know that was going to happen, but you were prepared and you had already visualized getting these kinds of images. So that does fall under the umbrella of visualization. It really does. And also, when you're shooting action or you're shooting sports, you have to put yourself in the right position. And this is an example of a photo essay that I did. I wanted to capture, in this suburban area, there's a polo club, kind of hidden from everybody. But these polo ponies are running around, and I had visualized that I wanted them together in an arc. I wanted to get kind of an arc, which you can see here with their mallets, and I wanted them in a close formation because I'd captured a few other shots, and these guys were all kind of scattered around, didn't look like much. So I visualized this, and I was obviously at the other end of the field. I did not want to get run over by these polo ponies using a long lens, probably a 300 millimeter lens. And I waited until I saw them in formation that, to me, expressed geometry. And that was all pre-visualized. I had that on my shot list. This was one of the main reasons I went there, because the photo essay was about finding things that people did not expect in that environment, in that suburban environment. I was trying to show them they didn't have to travel to a foreign country to discover unique things. They could find these in their own backyard. That was kind of the message of that photo essay. And this was probably my first visualized photograph. There's a whole story about it in my book, Create. I was in the 8th grade. I fell out of a pine tree. I was actually shocked. I brushed against a power line and I got knocked out for a second, and I fell down out of this pine tree about 30 feet. And you got to read the whole story. I'm not going to tell you right now. But kind of as an odd result of this, I ended up capturing this photograph of my friends jumping off a sand dune. Had I not been shocked, I'd probably be jumping with them, but I was a little bit still kind of dazed, and I had the foresight to grab my camera and give them some direction. And I told them, when I say jump, you guys jump, okay? And I knew that I had to, so that was all pre-visualized. I knew I had to press the shutter at that exact moment and anticipate it and actually get ahead of the motion a little bit. That's one of the things about shooting sports or action. You have to be ahead of the motion, because if you wait, it's too late. If I had hesitated even a little bit, this arc, this perfect, go back there, perfect arc would have disappeared, and that would have lost the whole message of this shot, which is kind of there's an arc there, there's a playfulness, and that was definitely taught me a lesson. I didn't know the word visualization. I hadn't read the Ansel Adams books. I hadn't really had any photography education to speak of, but I did, sort of instinctively, I was an artist, and I had an instinctive idea that what I wanted out of this, and I did it. John, chance favors the prepared is absolutely applicable to all aspects of living. Think about it. And the better prepared you are, the better you can handle anything. I used to teach mountaineering, and the whole point of our lessons were to prepare people. You know, it didn't matter that there were huge storms, that we were crossing raging rivers, that we're carrying heavy packs, that there was unpredictable stuff. If you were prepared, you could enjoy the mountains and not be freaked out by these occurrences. And that was really the point of that mountaineering education. How do you strengthen your visualization muscles? Go to museums. And if you can't go to physically go to a museum, if you're in lockdown, we'll go to their website. And there's a whole bunch of them out there. The Rijksmuseum, I love their work. The MoMA in New York. In your own country or your own area, you've got museums. If you can go there physically, that's even better. Go there. It's really better to see the art on the wall if you can. Get as close as you can to that. The next best thing is to see it in a book as the author intended it or the artist intended it. You can go to your library if they're open and check out some art books or photography books. And if you can't do that, maybe there's a bookstore you could go to, and they have used bookstores all over the place. Find some good used books. And if you can't do that, then go online. So that's kind of how it rates museum, book, online. Okay. Fantastic photographer, Joey L. When I interviewed him about, 11 years ago, he told me, I asked him, how did you get your style? And he said, I studied the works of the great painters. And I looked at their paintings, and I looked at how they lit the subject and how it was framed. So in this case, there's added light to his subject. I believe he has a Profoto flash over here that he carries with him, just enough to bring, this subject from being really, it's backlit, so being in the shadows like the rest of this, to adding some fill light here. It's not blasting away at the subject, but it's enough to make it appear just like a painting would be, because the painter wouldn't paint it into the shadows necessarily. You probably want to bring out the subject. So that's something you should do constantly. Look at art, and it could be a movie. A movie is 24 photographs per second. There's a lot of frames in there you can look at. I want you guys to constantly think in terms of, how do you elevate this skill? How can I become better at visualization? How can I use these things? And if you want to use them in the rest of your life to visualize, what do I want my relationship with my significant other to be like? That's sometimes not a bad thing to step back. Or my kids, or my boss. How would I really like this to be? We can all get caught up in the motion of things and just sort of be dragged along. But what about just take a step back and go, I want to put this together in a better way. I want to be an artist in life. I want to put it there. So how do I envision this relationship being? How do I envision my own self as an artist? That's a really good one. Please subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Like the video, and please share it and leave your comments. I love hearing from you. And remember to get out and capture your own images of life.